Hello, everyone. Today we are sharing the key highlights from our interview with Scott Edwards, successful real estate investor with over a decade of real estate investing and development experience. You may have watched Scott on YouTube with his popular videos covering Nile Niami's beautiful mansion, which is the largest and most expensive home in America. In one of his videos posted to his channel, Scott talks to Mike Pyle, founder of Centurion LV, one of the main technology contractors for Nile Niami's TheOne mega mansion in Bel Air, California, with a massive 105,000 square feet in size. If you want to take a tour inside this beautiful home, check out Scott's video here. But don't miss our conversation with Scott to find out how he got to where he is today and learn his journey to success. You're going to love it. Now, you talked a lot about different examples of residential and even Airbnb. Now, I know in one of your videos, you introduced you buying actually a commercial real estate. So definitely you're keeping your options open. Do you mind sharing a little bit of that story? How's that going? And I know in that video, if I'm not mistaken, you had talked that was a very good experience for you, that you were, in fact, continuing to look for more of a commercial leads as well.
Yeah, so for those that don't know that story, I started looking into getting into commercial real estate about 3 years ago. It started with me pursuing apartment complexes. So I was looking for a 10 or 15 unit apartment complex, much like whenever I was looking to buy my first home. And I quickly realized that space was also very competitive. And so it was really hard for me to find a good value add deal when I was looking for multifamily. And so just fast forward to last year, I got connected with a commercial broker who specializes in medical space, specifically medical condo units. And I started to have a lot of conversations with him about investing in medical condo units. And it's a very long story, but one thing led to another, and I ended up being turned on to a deal in Chandler, which isn't far from where I live. And it was a vacant medical condo unit. The person who occupied the space prior went out of bit, well, dissolved his business and decided to sell the space afterwards, of course. And so it was vacant, but I purchased the property, and then we held it for about 3 months before finding a tenant, a new doctor who fell in love with the space so much and the location that they decided to ultimately buy it. So they were only a tenant of mine for a few months before we closed on the transaction, which was, what is it, February? It was about 6 weeks ago or so. Wow. When we finally closed on that transaction. That's not the way that I envisioned that one to go. I planned to buy it, find a tenant within 3 to 6 months, and then hold it for 5 years. But we bought it, found a tenant in 3 months, and then ultimately they wanted to buy it, and that's just what made the most sense. But I've been fascinated with commercial since I got started, and long term, I knew I always wanted to move my business in that direction, but I wanted to have a lot of experience with residential first, just because it's comfortable. You know, we all grew up in 3-bedroom, 2-bath house or something similar like this. It's just very comfortable for me to wrap my head around the idea of buying, fixing up, and selling houses like this. It was very scary to me to think about investing in commercial early on, but now I've become more comfortable with it.
How much of a big deal the numbers play for you when it comes to selecting the right deals? Is that really a major factor? It feels like you don't necessarily get emotional, judging by how, for example, for that commercial real estate, you decided that the numbers were right, you decided to sell it.
Yep, I would say, yeah, for me, I try to leave emotion out of it, other than my own primary residence, like the one I'm sitting in, there's no emotion involved with any of the real estate transactions that I do. And the only reason there's emotion involved with this one is to make sure that my wife is happy. But right, with that commercial deal, the two most important things are, do the numbers make sense? And then is the location right? So no matter where I'm investing or what part of town, or whether it's a commercial or a residential or anything else, I want to make sure that I am comfortable with the location. So I always look at every detail of the location, like where does it sit within the neighborhood? What do the surrounding houses or businesses look like? What does it feel like when you're driving up to the business from a mile away, from every direction? And so those are the two parameters that are most important, the location and the numbers.
Now, Scott, there are different school of thought out there. There are some, researchers that mention real estate can be a great investment, especially if you're not looking at it as a primary residence space, but more so as an investment. But there are others who are more skeptical and saying that, oh, there's a lot of hidden costs with that you're not aware of it, so you have to be mindful. What is your advice for our Momentum channel viewers who are considering real estate as an avenue for diversifying perhaps their investments and creating wealth?
Well, so my advice before anything else is to get educated. So start by, following channels like yours, reading books, blogs, podcasts, get educated, building a network of people in your local community, real estate agents, contractors, stagers, designers, everyone in the business. Just start talking to people, and through these conversations and through your studies, you'll start to learn more about the business. And then I've talked about this on my channel before too, but you don't want to get stuck in that analysis paralysis phase where you're just in this never-ending stream of education. So spend a good amount of time laying a light foundation for yourself to where you're not going into it irresponsibly. But after you have a foundation of education, do your first deal. It's going to be scary. It's never going to be comfortable, and it's never going to feel just right. But you just need to get your feet wet with your first deal. And of course, I recommend trying to be as conservative as you can with that one. As far as, if you think it might cost $30,000 to remodel the house, pencil it out where it's going to cost $40,000 to remodel the house, because it probably will, and kind of pad all your numbers in every direction to make to make it a little bit of a safer investment for you. But you've got to just rip off the Band-Aid and do your first deal. And you will learn so much from that first deal, and you will gain so much confidence for that first deal that your second one will follow shortly after, for sure.
Kind of learn by doing, and how important that is, right? So
yeah.
What are some of the key lessons that you can share with our viewers, Scott? Any other lessons? You've been investing in real estate for over 10 years now. Any major lessons that you've learned that you want to share?
Yeah, so I think the first one is that things never go according to plan. So no matter what type of a deal you're pursuing or an investment you're pursuing, just expect things not to go according to plan, and be okay with it when that happens, and be quick on your toes and able to be nimble and adapt whenever things don't go according to plan, and have patience with the process as well. I think those are two, I think the two most important takeaways from my perspective, because investing in real estate is a great way to grow your net worth and long-term have a significant net worth and great streams of passive income. But it's a process. It takes a lot of time and a lot of hard work and a lot of blood, sweat, and tears. But here I am 10 years in, and I'm just starting to barely feel the fruits of my labor develop. And that's having done 2 or 3 houses or projects every year for 10 years straight. And I'm just starting to finally feel like it all is clicking, and that I've kind of made it in some right. So be patient with the process. It's not a get rich quick scheme by any means, but it can be very lucrative and rewarding in the long run.
That's great advice. Thanks for sharing that, Scott. One of my last questions is about, we asked this question mostly from all of our kind of guests around any books that they are going to recommend. And I know in one of your videos, and I'm reflecting back again on videos, you talked about that reading books, maybe, I mean, I thought it was a very catchy title, by the way. That is how you hate reading books. But then you explained that it's not that you actually hate it, but you like really more visuals and learning by doing, as you talked about earlier on. But you talked about 3 of your favorite business books. Now, whether those are the same answers you want to provide or not, my question to you is, what is perhaps your most favorite finance/investing related book that you can recommend to others?
Okay, yeah, so I will pull them from that video, because that video is where I spoke to my favorites. Rich Dad, Poor Dad holds a dear place in my heart, because I read it right at that age of 25 when I was buying my first house and thinking about getting involved in real estate. And so whether or not I agree with Robert Kiyosaki as a person nowadays is irrelevant. I really enjoy the principles of that book and the motivation that book gave me to get started. So that I would consider that my favorite. But a more modern book that I also talked about in that video is The 10X Rule by Grant Cardone. He's also very controversial, but for good reason. And what I like about the 10X Rule, simply states that if you 10X your efforts, you will multiply your results. Not necessarily 10X your results, but your results will multiply if you put 10X the effort than you thought you should put put into achieving a goal.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just think that's such a strong lesson. We as humans are capable of so much. And, you know, if you set out a goal to make $50,000 per year from your side hustles, whether it's real estate investing or stock investing or anything else, if you instead just 10x that goal and ask yourself, what is it going to take to achieve a $500,000 stream of income from my side hustles this year? To some people that might think unrealistic, or a goal that's way more challenging and impossible to achieve. The reality is, if you put in the effort that it will take to reach a $500,000 stream of income from your side hustles this year, you're not going to hit that, but you'll do a lot better than your initial goal of 50,000, more than likely. So I think that's just such a strong lesson in terms of goal setting and acknowledging what we are capable of as people.
So true. Pushing yourself and trying to set higher expectations and higher bars for yourself, because as humans, as you said, we are capable of a lot, and it's just recognizing that and really working to get there. Any final advice, Scott, that you have for our viewers before we wrap up this episode?
My biggest final thoughts or takeaway for you and the viewers is just what helps me a lot in staying motivated to do everything that I do, whether it's real estate investing or the YouTube channel or my day job or my relationship with my wife and my family or my friends, are revisiting my why often. And for anyone who knows Simon Sinek, he's someone who kind of pioneered this concept of defining your why. And it's defining your why means, why do you do what you do? You know, why do you wake up in the morning? What gets you going in the morning? What gets you excited? And so really think about your why and your purpose, and spend time doing things that make you feel fulfilled, because life is too short. And I just think that it's so important to spend your days with things that'll make you feel a sense of fulfillment. And we all have that power and that ability to just ask ourselves that question, do some self-reflection. And I think that you can improve your quality of life so much when you do that. That's
so powerful. Thank you, Scott, for sharing that with our viewers. And thank you for joining the show. I know for me, definitely learned a lot from you, even on this call. And I'm sure it's going to be the same for our viewers. Thank you so much again for joining the call.
Thank you for having me, Mo. I really appreciate it. This was fun.
We've added the contact link to our invited guest to the description of the video, so be sure to check them out. And lastly, if you haven't done that already, please subscribe to Momentum channel. Here on Momentum, we post weekly various videos about the stock market investing, stock analysis, financial planning, and finances. Thank you, and I hope to see you next time.